And we have not. It's not the first time we write songs about World War I, but this is the first time we make it a full concept album. The timing was absolutely right with coming up with 100 years since the ending of the World War I. So this was for us a natural thing, that time to do it.
Yeah,
We
and I was
won't
just
we won't find a better time, that's for sure. So that's why we decided to do it now.
mm. And I know you guys are, very big on, war history. Is that like consistent with everybody's in the band is, interested in war history, or is that just you and Joachim?
Everybody's not as interested, I would say, but me and Joachim are the two main people who are interested in history like this. And maybe we were not that much from the beginning, but it's something that grows over time with us being, more and more exposed to interesting stories and reading more and more. So for sure, even from the beginning, we had some interest, and I've always been a fan of, for example, movies that is based upon reality. And nowadays, I prefer, instead of watching, action movie or something like that, I prefer to watch a documentary movie. And I think that's also has led to the creation of the Sabaton History Channel part.
Definitely, yeah. I've been reading a lot about war history as well in the last few years. That's an interesting time period. And what I was wondering, and this is a question I ask myself quite often, if you were growing up, you're 20 years old in 1940s or the early 1900s, and the war broke out, would you have went to war and, possibly died? Do you think you would have done that to protect your country?
I think you had a different kind of education by then, and I mean, knowledge, and most people. That's why so many went to war, because they didn't know better. I think now we are in 2019, and I'm not sure, for example, if all of Europe will go and out to kill each other, or well, not all of Europe, the whole world, as you guys went all the way from Australia as well. So I'm not sure that people would do that, in the same ways anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But if I was born by then, and it was the beginning of the last century, and there was a war breaking out, I'm sure I would also be one of those people who didn't have more sense than to go to war, so to say.
For sure. And when you look at some of the veterans that served, I think my grandpa, he was a prisoner of war in the Japanese gulag, I guess. And I think people these days, do you think people know how fortunate they are that they don't have to deal with gulags and trench warfare and financial depressions? Do you think we've got it pretty good these days?
Yeah, for sure, we got it better these days. We live in a better world, and everything I mean, yeah, and all the things point that the world is better today than back then.
Definitely.
So
When I saw you guys live, Tommy Johansson was fairly new in the band, the guitarist. How's he doing so far? I mean, he was a really great shredder when I saw him live.
he's doing great. He was a big fan of Sabaton his whole life. So the first picture of us with him was in 2005 when he came to see one of our concerts, and we've known each other for a very long time. And when we asked him to join the band, he was of course very excited, and we knew that when he was going into the band, we don't only get a guitar player, we also get a singer and a songwriter. So he helped us write on the new album. He was contributing and helping to write the song "A Ghost in the Trenches," of course.
Mhm. I was having a look at your new film clips, and the production looks massive. It almost looks like a cinematic movie. Bismarck was a really cool film clip, and the other one, Fields of Vernand. What's it like doing a film clip? How many days does it normally take? And is there like a big, crew that comes out with you? How does that work?
Mm, the Sabaton part usually doesn't take more than 1 or 2 days,
Mhm.
but the whole creation of such a video takes a very long time. I am deeply involved into anything from script writing to choosing who will we will be working with, when, how we will do it. So there's a lot of work before we even get there. I mean, when the band arrives, pretty much most of the stuff is already done, because it takes many weeks of planning something like that. So it is a big job, but the result is great.
Yeah, and was that done mostly on a film set, or did you actually go to some, historical landmarks to do it? Warships and fields and all
No,
that.
the Fields of Verdun was done on a set, and
Hmm.
Bismarck was done on an actual ship, but not a warship, though, a fishing ship.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a really good film clip. Anyway, so what are your plans for 2019? Have you got any more dates booked up, more countries, festivals to go to?
And we always have a lot of ideas coming up, and but when it comes to touring, most of the year is already packed. So, but there are, of course, this is just the beginning of the great tour, and it will continue, and it will evolve, and it will be more shows. But this year is pretty much already fully booked, so to say.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask, who have been some of your favourite bands to tour with? I know you mentioned you've toured with the Monomath and Nightwish. Are there any others that are, fun guys to hang out with?
The greatest band we tour with is Iron Maiden. So this is still, if I get to choose one band, I choose to tour with Iron Maiden.
For sure. What kind of bands do you listen to, to influence you when you write an album? Are you still listening to the same bands you were 10 years ago, or have you kind of evolved a bit in your musical tastes?
Um, a lot of us still, I mean, yeah, we listen to all kind of music, all of us, and there's a lot of great new songs being written by new people. But every now and then we all go back to where we came from, and like put on classic albums, because Um, it is it's a sheer fact, that if you grow up with something, you have a special relationship to it, and you can always return to it, and return to that, feelings and emotions we had 20, 30 years ago when we really found something we really enjoyed. And this is, it happens a lot of times that we go back, and I can go back to Iron Maiden at any time and find something I like in that.
For sure. Now, I got to ask, when did you first start playing bass guitar, and when did you decide to put together a band and become successful?
And it sounds pretty weird though, but okay, at age 13, we were four guys with long hair in school, and we decided to form a band. And already then the intention was to be the biggest and best in the whole world, because it was just the way I am. No matter if you would, if I wouldn't be a metalhead at that time, no matter what I would do, I would aim for the highest. I was always this, even since the first things I can remember in my life. I always was very ambitious and wanted to do things all the way. And my first band was not able to do that, but once we had Sabaton going, we set out on the path to go all the way, so to say. And it comes from within. I mean, I always was ambitious, and I guess a little bit crazy, which you have to be if you really want to be successful.
Is it a difficult life, living on the road in tour buses? You got to go for airport and customs all the time. Do you enjoy that part of it?
I enjoy it quite a lot, actually, and I enjoy also when things go wrong or becomes a little bit problematic, because then it forces to improvise a solution. And I'm quite I like a lot of these things to sort problems and to improvise and things. I don't want things to be simple in life, and so and a lot of the musicians, I can't understand why it's like that, but a lot of my colleagues from different bands and stuff, they are like, oh, it's fun to play and stand on the stage, that's cool, but all the traveling is so fucking nightmare to sit on airports and do nothing. And I think it's kind of a weird way of seeing things. Like how can sit and do nothing be bad in a world where nobody has any time to do anything? So most of the people who are not in bands, they complain because they have no time to, for example, listen to anything, read a book or something, because their whole lives are so stressed. And then there are musicians who complain that they have nothing to do for a few hours, a few times per week. I mean, seriously, I find that kind of hilarious.
Yeah, and I guess you guys being so based on your music based on World War One and World War Two. That's, I guess, maybe part of your reason to realize you're very fortunate, and there are some hardships in touring, but at least it's not trench warfare and it's not war camps and things like that. So I guess that's a positive.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much all the questions I've got. But I hope you guys can make it down to Australia. I really thought the last tour was great, and I couldn't tell you had salmonella because I got some good pictures and you looked healthier on camera. So I couldn't tell.
Thank you. Well, we gonna. I won't promise, but I will say that we are working on plans.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure it'll happen in the next year or two. It'll be great to see you guys again.
Hmm. Thank you very much, and have
Yeah,
a
no
great
worries.
day.
Bye. Oh, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.